If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Ask Reddit serious, what is the creepiest or most unexplained thing that's happened to you that you still think and or wonder about to this day? Serious replies only.
I was driving at night after a football game as a high school student. My younger sister was in the passenger seat and my friend was in the middle back seat, leaning forward to chat with us easier. We were dropping my friend off before heading home, and driving down a pretty dark road to get there. We lived in a rural area, so no streetlights. Suddenly, my sister and friend both gasp and I step on the brakes, thinking they must have seen a deer or something. They were both in shock, asking me if I just saw that old man who flashed up in the middle of the road and then disappeared. I hadn't seen anything, but I was terrified. They were both so shocked and had the exact same reaction. My friend didn't even want to get out at his house once we got there, he was so scared. I hope this gets read by a robot on YouTube. 1988, we were renting a refurbished house that was part log cabin from the 1700s. Was on the john in the bathroom when I heard 3 very loud knocks on the wall beneath the bathroom window. Looked out the window, nada. 30 seconds later it happened again, and again nothing outside. Later, wife and I decide to plant some stuff beneath the bathroom window outside, and 4 inches down we hit a concrete slab. Turns out the bathroom used to be entranceway to the log house. Spooky as hell.
The exact same thing happened to me. I live in a bungalow, and in my room there was a window. I was sitting by my desk by the window one night, when I heard 3 distinct knocks. I got my dog and my dad and we looked outside. My dad said I was likely just being paranoid. I go back to sit by my desk and I hear 3 knocks again and again. There is a tall fence surrounding my house with no entrance but a gate which you need a code to use, so to this day I still have no idea what the 3 repeated knocks were. Last year or so I was sitting in the living room, the rest of the family had gone to bed, and heard a few knocks from the big window in the kitchen, which is in the backyard. I brushed it off at first, heard again, called my parents in a panic. Dad goes and scopes the place out, sees nothing, they go back to bed and I hear the sound again. We decided it was my dad trying to plug his charger into the wall, floor directly above, but I DK if that was the truth or just accepted as so BB. I was freaked TF out. I had something similar happen in 2018 when I moved back to my hometown and moved in with a buddy of mine. My girlfriend was staying the night, and got up to use bathroom, which was attached to my room, before we fell asleep. She was in there for maybe 45 seconds before she came running back in the room with her shorts around her ankles, in a complete panic. She swears she heard 3 very loud knocks on the wall in front of her, which would have been in the room. I did not hear these knocks. To my knowledge this was the only time it happened, but it was a very strange feeling. My family has tons of weird paranormal stuff, but the one I actively think about had nothing to do with ghosts or anything. My best friend vanished in like 4th or 5th grade. Her whole family just up and left without warning. Got a phone call from her months later saying she missed me and she was safe but wasn't allowed to give any details. Someone came in the room and she had to hang up. To this day I have no freaking clue what happened. Every now and then I try to find her on social media. No luck yet. I've had a similar thing happen, though not as intriguing as yours as there was no phone call later on. My family was friends with another family from my stepfather's old military days and kept in touch once we rotated back stateside. They lived in Michigan while we lived in Pennsylvania. One day, the calls and letters just stopped. No more visits. Nothing. They couldn't be reached at their old phone numbers, and none of them have ever shown up on social media by their proper names. I still look them up every now and again. This was years ago in the late 90s, so I doubt I'd contact them if I ever actually found them. I think it would feel too much like an intrusion at this point. I always just assumed they moved on with their lives, but it is odd that after being friends across states and across Europe for so long that, just like that, no goodbye, no needs to have known you, and literally no means to contact them in any way, that they're just gone without a trace. You'd think at least one of the daughters would have shown up on Facebook or Instagram, as they're my age. About 1973, I went to work. Got out of the car. Walked to the entrance and on the way saluted Warrant Officer Fardy because he was in uniform. He had always worn civilian clothes. He waved me on and said he'd be in a minute. I got to my office and expected to be the first one there because I always got there first as the lowest ranking guy in the office and had to make the coffee. I was surprised that the chief, the captain, and his senior sergeant were already in the office. The captain asked me to sit down at my desk. I thought I was in trouble. He said he had some bad news. Warrant Officer Fardy was killed in a head-on collision at 3 a.m. that morning. I protested that I had just seen him outside in the parking lot. The captain said he and the sergeant had identified the body just an hour earlier. What I'm about to write does have explanation, but it still freaked me out. At the office around 1998-99, the usual folks were coming and going. I chatted with one guy in the kitchen, just a good morning and how are you? He seemed cheerful and went on his way. Later that day, somebody mentioned him and that he wasn't in work at the time. I said, he is here, I spoke to him this morning. It was explained to me that his wife had died in a car accident the previous night and he was in shock. Hence turning up for work that day like nothing was happening. When I had spoken with him, there was literally no sign of the fresh horror that must have been playing out behind the facade. Chilling. I was 20 staying with my husband's friends in West Palm Beach, Florida. In the middle of the night, my husband screamed. I opened my eyes and there was a dark figure of a man standing at the foot of the bed. He stood at my husband's feet. I screamed and leaped out of the bed, hitting the wall light switch. The figure was gone and our friends were banging on the door. It was very strange that we both saw the exact same thing. I came here to post a similar experience to you. My friends and I were walking home at night, we were all 15-ish. We took our usual route through the graveyard. It was a large graveyard with a steric main path running top to bottom. There were side paths too. We took a side path and walked towards the top. As we neared the top, we had to walk across to the main path. At that moment, those of us at the front noticed a woman who was dressed in layers of clothing that looked very old. She appeared elderly in her movement. She was walking towards the top gate, within 2 meters of it. Our side path was far enough away that someone would not notice you. We all stopped and I said we better not scare this woman. We all commented on her weird appearance. We could not see her face. Suddenly, she bolts and turns around in a swift movement and runs back down the main path. The sudden change in movement did not fit her previous movement. She disappeared after the initial run. As in, she was just gone. We got to the path, and there was no sign of her. I do not believe in the supernatural, but this experience still sits with me 15 years on. My friends will still bring it up sometimes too. No homeless in the area, her fashion style resembled something from the 17th century. We never saw anything else like it while walking through the graveyard. The appearance, movement, and sudden disappearance are what we all found the strangeness.
When I was about 10 years old, I fell asleep under the covers. I woke in the middle of the night to find the covers off and neatly folded and placed just above my pillow. I'll never understand this. My best explanation is that I did it while sleepwalking. The problem is that I never folded any sheets and did not have muscle memory for it, and that I have no history of sleepwalking before or after this night.
Like a ghost came by and thought, screw this kid, I'll steal his blankets so he gets cold. But I don't want to make a mess. Worked as a night auditor at an old hotel. It was around 2 a.m. and I get a phone call from the pool room, which is supposed to be closed. I pick up the phone and answer, and all I hear is very heavy breathing. I hang up the phone and check the cameras, and all the lights are on in the pool room. So I go down the hallway to kick whoever it is out. But as I get close to the glass door, it is so cold I can see my breath. The door is completely fogged over and all the lights are out. I open the door and the light above me comes on because they are motion sensor lights. I am looking around but I don't see anything. Then the light comes on across the pool from me but nothing is there. Then every light in a path begins to light up around one side of the pool as if something is walking towards me. I ran out of there so fast and locked myself in my manager's office and stayed until sunrise. But the worst was yet to come. I had played it off in my head as bugs causing the motion sensor lights to go off. I was telling my manager about my experience so he would get a good laugh. When I told him about the phone call from the pool, he didn't laugh at all. He asked me if I was 100% positive the caller I'd said the pool room, and I said yeah. Then he told me there hasn't been a phone in the pool room for 30 years. I told him there was no way because that would be physically impossible. He told me to go look for myself. I looked and there was no phone. Complete and total mind *CG because I didn't believe in the supernatural at all before that. But to this day, no matter how many ways I try to rationalize it, I just can't. It is completely unexplainable.
If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and pressing the like button.